What's up guys, today we are talking about how to paint faux wood to make it look kind of like a distressed wood palette on a 8x10 canvas panel, but you can really use any size that you like. The method is going to be the same and you can do just about anything with this. You can cover it with all sorts of decor, letters, you name it. So here we go. First, you need to decide what direction your wood grain is going to go, so your brush strokes are going to go in one direction. The brush I'm using here is a flat wash brush, but you can use any flat or bright as long as it is that flat shape. A reusable palette is what I'm using here, and this one has 6 wells, but you really could use anything. A paper plate, whatever you like. So choosing my paint colors here, I went with white and a dark umber, but you can choose any colors that you like to do for your wood. It doesn't have to be limited to 2, but I find 2 is really easy to work with. So we start off with some white paint going a general direction and immediately start mixing in the umber color. And I am making sure my brush strokes are going side to side because I want my wood grain to go in that direction, not over mixing it. The direction of my brush is so that I get a really wide stroke, and I just go back and forth with those colors quite quickly while it's wet. And the more that you work it, the flatter your color will be. So we want a little bit of streaking in there. Don't worry, it doesn't have to look perfect right now. We really just want a good coverage for now, and we can go back in and add more texture as needed. So I'm just finishing out the first coat, keeping my strokes side to side with plenty of paint. Depending on what kind of paint you use will determine how quickly it dries as well. So once it's fully covered, I can go back in with that same brush, turn it the other direction so that I can get some thin strokes in there, and going in with some dark paint, really any color that you like, but make sure that your brush is the right direction. So you can see here now the thin strokes are being worked in, and since the paint is still wet, it is still blending a bit, and I'm just giving it a lot more texture this way. Still keeping those horizontal brush strokes. I have it slightly tilted for comfort. You will want to do the same to make sure that your brush strokes come out pretty steady, pretty even. Tendency is to kind of curve with your brush strokes, and we don't want too much curvature in it. So you can go back and forth between your light and dark color, blending it out, adding more texture. It doesn't have to be completely even either. You can leave it as varied as you like. You have to think a little bit about what's going to go on top too, because if you're going to want light colors, your background maybe should be darker, or vice versa, so that you have a fair amount of contrast. I'm just adding more and more texture until I like it, flipping the canvas around to kind of even it out and see it from a different point of view. Then I fully let it dry. I've cleaned off the brush now, and I'm taking some of that dark umber again and thinning it out just a little bit, working it into the bristles to keep that paintbrush relatively flat. And I'm going to work into the corners a little bit darker, kind of flicking in from that edge with just a little bit of paint, making sure that that edge is very uneven, drawing it in a little bit more. Sometimes kind of has a fringing effect, you can see here, and that just makes the edges of the wood look kind of worn and beaten up. I like to do it from one side, so since I'm right-handed, I start on the left. Once I've gotten all the way through down this side, I'll flip the canvas over and repeat the process, flicking in towards center again. So here we are flipping. You can do it from the opposite side like I'm showing here, but it feels different, so you may want to try both and see what works best for you. It shouldn't be a strain either way, so I like to flip. I find this to work best if you just kind of go at it slowly and build it up little by little. I decided some areas were a bit too heavy, so you can easily push it back by taking a mix of the white and brown color or whatever colors you are using. And I just push it back a little bit, trying to make sure I blend in with the rest of that front surface, keeping that illusion of wood grain. I teach a lot of social art classes, and this is very popular as a base for a variety of things. It's pretty fun and not too difficult. You can play with it for a while and just see what you like. And because I'm only using 2 tones, it's very easy to push it back and forth. So now it's time to add some knots. You'll need another brush. I'm using a round 2 and some of that dark umber color. And a little bit of white mixed in. You might want it thinned out a little bit just to make it a little easier to work with. And we're just going to draw in a knot here, making sure that the wood grain around it looks like it's actually getting pushed. I think knots are a nice addition. I just don't recommend doing too many. You don't want it to distract from whatever you plan on putting on top of your fake wood. What I like about this is, honestly, it really is forgiving. You can keep playing with those colors and make it look how you want it to look. And the edges, I just go a little bit darker to complete that kind of aged, distressed look. Sometimes when I teach it, people get really caught up in trying to make perfect looking wood, but wood's not perfect looking. So have fun with it, give it some character, embrace the imperfections. You might end up covering it with your design that you place on top anyways, so don't stress over it. Just enjoy the process. Here's what I did with mine. I painted a T-Rex skull and rar for fun. I don't really know why. Dinosaurs are cool. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? You don't have to be 5 to enjoy it. Thanks guys, love to see what you guys do with yours. Happy painting!